Welcome to this week's Down Home with Tina. I am your host, Tina Thompson. Very excited. I have a gentleman. When I had decided to reach out, I had never had anybody from St. Vincent de Paul. The store is located over on Locust Street. And when I did, I got a call from Joe Barrows, and he said, well, we've got something pretty special happening this year. And I thought that's pretty awesome, because when he told me what that special was, I feel so honored to be able to have the gentleman that I'm about to have on with me. He has got a huge birthday that's coming up towards the end of the month. And that huge birthday is the big 100 years old. He is one of the original 6 that had helped to get the local St. Vincent de Paul, they call it conference, or Society of St. Vincent de Paul. I did not realize that it is a world society, and it was in different places, different countries before it even came here, and they got it here and they got it going. But I just am so excited to have this gentleman to share a little bit about the history of the local St. Vincent de Paul. Folks, don't go anywhere. It's a pretty special time. You are watching Down Home with Tina.
The Frankie Smith Funeral Home and Crematory in Lancaster and the Johnson Smith Funeral Home in Baltimore have a long and wonderful history of serving our community. Feel free to give us a call at 740-653-0652. Stop in and see us at either of our 2 locations, 405 North Columbus Street in Lancaster and 207 South Main Street in Baltimore. Respect for tradition, regard for change.
Bay Food Market is Fairfield County's source for high-quality, locally sourced meats. The meat case is always full of quality fresh beef, pork, gourmet burgers, and gourmet brats for you and your family to enjoy. Bay Food Market cures and smokes their own hams, bacon, and sausage. Visit Bay Food Market at the corner of Maple and Walnut Streets in Lancaster and discover the Bay Food Market difference. Open daily 8 a.m. to 6 p.m., closed Thursday and Sunday. Bay Food Market, proudly serving Fairfield County families for more than 90 years.
Welcome back to Down Home with Tina. I have a very special guest. You all know I say all my guests are special, but we've got a very special one he is on the brink of 100 years young, and I'm so excited to have him. I had reached out to Joe at St. Vincent de Paul, which is right here in Lancaster, and many of us know about the store, or a little bit about it. But I, for myself, Mr. Paul Lonergan, I have no idea of the history of it, and I'm very, very excited to find out about it. You are one of the original that helped to start the local society of St. Vincent, the conference, yes, conference is what they call it, of St. Vincent de Paul. Will you please share with folks a little bit about that?
Okay. Well, I'd like to back up just a little bit before that. When I was in service during the war, I had to change trains in Omaha, Nebraska. Mm-hmm. And so I get off the train and I'm looking for information on a board or something about the train I have to catch and where it's going to be and so on. And this middle-aged man walked up to me and asked if he could help me. And I told him, yeah, I told him just what I was after. He said, well, that train won't be in for over an hour now. But he says, why don't you come with me? And he was a St. Vincent man. And he took me up to the hospitality section that St. Vincent had at that time. Visited with me that whole hour or more, took me down to the train, to the actual gate, saw me on the train, so made sure I was on it and everything, wished me well, and that was it. That was my first encounter with St. Vincent de Paul.
And did you just, after that, because were you headed off to war then at that time?
I was headed back to my post at the time. I was changing posts.
You were changing posts. So at that time, what was it like for you to encounter somebody such as he and what he did for you?
Well, it was a big help because I was just a young GI and had a lot to learn, and mostly traveled by train when you traveled. And from Omaha, I had a long ways to go. I had to get back out to California to my post.
Wow.
And so it was, and I'm glad I had a duffel bag. Very glad I had a duffel bag, because that train was loaded. It was full, and the only place that I could sit was in. It had rooms in the car, and then there was a passageway around the rooms, and I was in that passageway, and I had that duffel bag for a seat.
Oh, wow.
And I had that seat for a long time, I'm telling you.
I bet so. Yeah, it's much different travel now,
Yeah.
back then than it is now. So when you got back, was that when you decided that it was something that you wanted to do for your own local community with St. Vincent de Paul? How did that come about, this conference?
No, well, that came about much later.
Okay.
Monsignor Winnell, who was the pastor of St. Mary Parish, was getting a lot of calls in the late 50s at the parish, people asking for help of various kinds. And he was a friend of Monsignor Corcoran, who was asked to bring the conference to the diocese.
Okay.
And so he contacted Monsignor Corcoran and said that he wanted to start a conference down here. And he picked 6 fellows. Just it was his doing completely. And we really didn't know what we were getting into. This matter that I just told you about of Omaha, I'd forgotten all about that. My, that'd been a long time. But anyhow, the Monsignor got the 6 of us going, and we would. He had our phone numbers, and he'd call one of us and say, "Get another fella, and take care of this." And that's all the information we had. We'd go from there and do the best we could do.
And how many years now have you had the local conference here?
We're in 60 some odd years now.
Yeah, so since 1958, is that the right?
Yeah,
that was the year. Do you want to mention the other fellas' names?
I can, but I can't do it from memory.
No, that's fine. I don't expect you.
Well, I can't do it from memory. But Willie Campetti was one, and he was one of the big ones because not long before that, he was the president, and his condition was failing. And I'm not sure whether he passed before we got started or not. I'm not sure of that. But another fellow that
Landefeld?
see,
Is that one?
Neil Oatney was another fellow. Neil's son runs Oatney and
and
his
associates?
associates.
Yeah.
Tim
Okay,
Oatney,
yeah.
And Frank McCauley from up the parish, you know him.
Okay.
He was a member, and let's see, Lou Sander.
Okay.
You remember, Lou? And John Renard.
Okay.
He was with and Pat Powers. Pat was the dental hygienist.
Okay.
And John Renard was with Anchor Hocking, one of the officers over there, sales officer. And Harry Shaw, started Shaw's.
Yep.
He was one of the president. Chet Abbott. And then here's a name, Frank Coase.
Okay.
Frank Coase is a year older than I am. And for 13 days, we're the same age. And then he moves ahead of me 1 year. So he's coming up on 101.
Wow. Wow. Nice. Yep. So tell me, what are maybe one of your highest moments of being involved with St. Vincent de Paul? Paul?
Well, I'd have to say it was a case, really. We were there was a couple in Bremen that had a baby that needed care, and this fella had lost his job just about that time.
Okay.
And he was working for a company in Lancaster that was only here a short time. And he some of the friends had a get-together at the Knights of Columbus Hall to see if they could get people to kick in some money.
Yeah.
And we were asked to do that, but we wanted to know more about the situation. They told us about that. And Lou Sander, I mentioned him before, he was the traffic manager at Anchor Hocking. Good, sharp fella, and he said, wait a minute, the amount that we would give them for this case would only help them so much. We can do better than that. I'll check it out, and he did. He checked out with the company, found out that that fellow could, if he paid the premium himself, he could have it for the remainder of the year. So that's what we did. We paid the premium, protected the family. The child had the operation.
Wow.
Recovered nicely, and the fellow was worked all the time trying to get a job. He finally got a job. We continued to pay the premium until he was on the insurance rolls of the new company.
Wow.
Then we finally dropped it.
Wow.
And I'll never forget that.
And that's what St. Vincent de Paul is about helping people in the community, correct?
That was a real need. It was a double-barrel need. We not only helped people, but we helped save a life, I think.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, because without it, they may not have been able to do what they wanted to do and get done. It wouldn't have happened. Hey, folks, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to get back with more from Paul Lonergan that is here to talk about St. Vincent de Paul. It's Downham with Tina.
You walked down the aisle and promised happily ever after. Sometimes happily ever after means ending a relationship. We know the conversations are not easy. Deciding what's best for you, your children, and your next steps takes work and communication. At Dagger Law, we know there are no monsters in a divorce, only people trying to find their way. Local, trusted, experienced. Dagger Law.
Okay, Dad. 1, 2, 3. You saved me. Dad?
Are you okay?
I'm fine, dear.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving.
Welcome back. It's Down Home with Tina. We're going to continue our conversation with Paul Lonergan from St. Vincent de Paul. So,
Yeah,
very passionate about St. Vincent de Paul, aren't you?
and there are other cases, but you were helpful. But once the help was given, that was about it. You know?
Yeah.
And so what? So that's what we're here for, and we just
Right.
we'll do it and keep going.
That's right. That's right. So folks who do need help and such, do they just reach out to the local conference or the store here in town, the St. Vincent de Paul, located on Locust Street, I know, here in Lancaster?
Do what?
Do they just reach out to St. Vincent de Paul if they're in need of anything?
No, we have an operation called twinning, an action called twinning,
Okay.
where we twin with other conferences that may not have the wherewithal
Okay.
to handle a situation. Somebody has a big need. They run up they have a big bill, maybe a big light bill or a big rent bill or something like that, and a single conference couldn't handle that.
Yeah.
So we handle what we can handle, and then we put the information out to other conferences that there's the need there for a certain amount of money, can you help? And so they send us money so that we can get that taken care of.
Very nice. Very nice.
And that's called twinning, and it works both ways.
Okay.
If we have a need,
Yeah.
we call the same way, and it works both ways.
It's just working together to make it happen for folks who are in need.
Yeah.
Very nice.
And for a number of years, we've been working with other communities to get conferences started. And one of them is out of the county. It's down in Adams County, which is the poorest in the state.
Yeah.
And they had a need. They were trying to get organized, and we had dealt with them before on a couple of occasions, and we made a trip down there to find out what their present situation was, and we agreed to help them, but we didn't say how. We just said, we'll help you. So we helped them monetarily, but we guided them about how they could twin, learn to twin, and how they would do that. And by now, they're able to do that themselves. They're able to contact themselves.
Yep.
And we're real happy about that. We've done the same thing for a couple other conferences. Logan is one of them. Bremen is another one.
Okay.
And so on.
Yeah.
So we're passing on the movement, but at the same time we're helping people.
Absolutely. Anything that before we go and conclude the show that you would like for folks to know about St. Vincent de Paul? One of the most important things.
Well, let's see. We're here to help. You know where we are. You know we've got the store, and if there's a need of any kind, you contact us at the store, whatever it may be, and
actually donate to the store.
You can donate in a couple of ways. You can donate monetarily, or you can donate clothing. You can donate goods,
furniture, goods. Yeah, I did, and I have to tell you, I had my first experience with him recently, and I took things, and they didn't turn away what I gave, and it was, it was stuff. It wasn't broken stuff or anything like that, and I was just so pleased with the way that they did things, and it was ran beautifully. So guess where I'm going next time? Paul.
Well, good.
To St. Vincent de Paul, right on Locust Street.
Good.
Yes,
Yep.
yes.
Right.
All right, well, thank you.
And we've had a couple of construction projects. And we try to be good neighbors.
Mm-hmm.
As a result of that, we're just one of the residents of Locust Street.
Yep, you have been for quite some time. Well, thank you so much for your time. I greatly appreciate it. And folks, don't go anywhere. It's Downhill with Tina. I will be right back.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move. So I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Never gonna let you go. Never gonna let
Downhill with Tina is brought to you by these amazing sponsors. Folks, if you want to be a sponsor, just reach out to me. You can email me, downhillwithtina@gmail.com. What you get with your sponsorship is you get this, and I get the opportunity to go out and highlight wonderful folks like the gentleman that I just had with me to talk about nonprofit like St. Vincent de Paul. We have so many great nonprofit organizations in our community, and it's my way of giving back and your way of helping to give back to the community as well. Highlight teachers, first responders, students, veterans. I love to do what I do. Folks, in October is one of my favorite months out of the year, and it is not only because it is a Fairfield County Fair, it is also because the week of the Fairfield County Fair, 12 years ago, is when I like to say radio found me. That is where I got my start. Never in a million years when I was younger did I think I was ever going to do radio, and it happened. And I think it is because I put myself in places and I never stopped believing and trying and doing something new. So a little bit of the backstory on that was I wanted to do TV, and I never thought I would ever be able to do TV because I was never, believe it or not, you're not going to believe this probably, I was never comfortable in front of the camera. As a matter of fact, I tried to do an audition one time and for a television, and I was so nervous. My sisters were like, will you stop making that weird look that you have on your face? And I don't know if I ever did. I didn't get the TV thing, obviously. Now, I did do some commercials way back, but I still didn't feel comfortable in front of the camera. I was always very nervous. So anyways, found radio, or it found me. And the way that it all turned out is I feel that when you do something in life or get the opportunity to do something, don't be afraid to do it, because although you may feel that your path is to go one direction, you may be headed in another one. go for it. Don't be afraid to try. I, without hesitation, said yes to radio in an instant. I had no idea what I was going to talk about. Well, I didn't think I had any idea what I was going to talk about until it came about. And then it just, in my mind, it was just there. I knew I wanted to talk about positive things going on in the community. I also know that if it weren't for me starting into radio, and then from radio, I got involved with Garrett Players, which is a staged reading, stand up on stage in front of people, becoming a character and acting with script in hand, yes, but you still had to become that character and still act in front of people. I know that in this moment, in this time, that I never ever would have been able to do those things if I hadn't had the experience of being on radio, hearing myself, learning from it, growing from it. There were certain steps, but I know the man upstairs knew I had to take before I could get there. So don't rush it. Don't always be in a hurry, because you may have to go through certain things to get to where you are supposed to be, which leads me into me wanting to continue to grow and do more and do better. And this is why I get to do TV today, because it gave me the courage to actually be able to sit here in front of a camera and not be nervous anymore, which also leads to other things that I've done in the community. I've met amazing people in the community that continue to give back, which one of them, and we're going to talk with her in a coming show next week, Tracy from Fairfield Medical Center Foundation. And then also I'm going to make a stop in at the fair, so you'll get to see all of that. But I wanted to just talk a little bit about my teddy bears. I know I don't want to say I've hounded anybody, because I haven't, but I've talked about it and I've put it out there. The teddy bears is something that's very special to me. It came to mind when I had a first responder on the show, and the reason why she decided to become a police officer. And so I don't have a whole lot of time left just to share with you. The teddy bears are going to go to, in the vehicles of law enforcement, the Lancaster Police Department and the Fairfield County Sheriff's Office. They actually have them now. I recently did what I call, it's Operation Teddy Care, a teddy drop. So I did 2 teddy drops. I stopped and saw both of those organizations, and the police department and the sheriff's office, and they are going to start to distribute these teddy bears to children in any kind of traumatic, domestic violence situation where they feel they need a little TLC. And Hunter the teddy bear is out hunting with them and their cruisers to find those kids who need them. If you'd like to donate, you can always just email me, downhomewithtina@gmail.com. Folks, thanks so much for watching Down Home with Tina and supporting me. I appreciate more than you know. Hugs and blessings. Until next week. God bless and good day.